Hi, welcome to my video on the order and rounding of decimals. The order that we're going to do it is the descending order, which is from highest to lowest. Notice we can arrange in descending order, and the sample is we have 280, we have 100, we have 41, 6, decimal 8, 8 tenths, decimal 2 is 2 tenths, decimal 0.4, and decimal 0.2. That's 400s, 200s, no tenths, and no tenths. The descending order of whole numbers and decimals is done by A, the highest place value, B, the highest digit in that place value. Let's use some examples to explain. Place in descending order. So the descending order, if I look it over, I have 4,000. So 4,000 would be the highest. Let's stretch that one out. We have 1,000, 1,600, 800. So 1,000 is next, but 1, 4, 1, 4. So 1430, 1,430, and then 1,420. I scratch those two out. The reason I scratch them out is to keep track, to make sure I pick them all. If I pick them all out, 800 would be next, and 600 is the last one. So notice in descending order. In B, let's see, we have ones, a 1, 1. So 7 is the highest. The next after that is 4.6, because that's 4 ones. The next is 1.2. So we have decimal 8, which is 8 tenths, decimal 9, which is 9 tenths. So 9 tenths is higher than 8 tenths. So 8 tenths is the last. So we have them all done. C, check it out. I have ones place here, ones place. So we have a 9 is the highest. The next is 6.4. 6. And any more ones? No, tenths. So we have 0, 2, 7, and 0 tenths. So 0.7 is the next one. 0.2 is the next after that. So we have 2 left, 0.04, 0.01. That's no tenths, 400s. No tenths, 100. So 400s, 0.04 is higher than 0.01. Again, in descending order. D, let's see, we have a 0, 0, no ones. We have to look at the tenths. So we have decimal 7, decimal 7.4, decimal 7.7. So they're all decimal 7, 7 tenths, but 77, decimal 7.7 is higher than decimal 7.4. So that's gone, and 0.7 is next. Now we have 3 tenths, 5 tenths, and 3 tenths. So 5 tenths is next, so that's gone. We have decimal 3 and decimal 3/6. So the 3/6 is higher, and the decimal 3 is next. If you look at it another way, just think of it this way, because they're all like this. If you put a 0 right here, and you put a 0 there, and you put a 0 there, all these digits are in hundredth place. So notice that 77 hundredths, 74, 70, 50, 36, 30 are all in descending order. By putting an extra 0 in, you can see. And that's just another way to look at it. E, we have a 1s and a 3. So the 3.001 is the highest, and 1.002 is the next. And let's, any 0 tenths, 0 tenths, 0 tenths, they're the same. And we have 800ths, no 800, no hundreds, no hundreds. So 0.08 is next. And we have, let's see, 9 thousandths and 94. So the 94 is higher than the 0.009. And again, if you think about it here, because that's 4 decimal places, if we put a 0 on this one, we put a 0 on this one, and we put 2 zeros on this one, and we put a 0 here, we can see that, right, we got 800 here, we have 94 here, and we only have 90 here. So the extra zeros put on this, just to clarify, they're all to the same place value then, and you can see the descending order. Just another way to think about it. Practice. Pause your video, fill out these answers, and then press play to see if you're right. Here we go. Number 1. I have 2,000, 7,000. 7,000 goes first. Done. 2,600 goes next. Done. No more thousands. So I have 100. 340 is the only one that's in the 100. And now we have to look at 48, 69, 31. So 69 is next. 48 is next. 31 and 5 is left. 31 is larger than 5. So now we have them all done. Number 2, decimals. 1/10 and a 6 is, 1 and a 6. 6 is higher. 1.3 is next. 6 is highest. 1.3. We have 8/10, 5/10, 7/10. So 8/10 is next. 7/10 is after that, and 5/10 is last. So notice 6, 1, 8/10, 7/10, 5/10. Number 3, let's check. We have they're all ones place, all the same. Now we look at the tenths. 7, 8, 6, 3, 6, 3. So decimal 8, 4 is the highest. The next one highest is I see a 7 and a 6. 7 is higher. So 7/10 is next. We have 0.6 and 0.6. So this is 6. Again, if you put a 0 right here, you see that decimal 60 and decimal 62. Again, 62 is higher, and the 6, 0 is next. So now we have a 3/10 and a 3/10. We have a 1 and a 1, so they're the same, but the 8 is higher than the 4. So decimal 318 and decimal 314. Again, the tenths are the same, the hundreds are the same, so there's 8 thousandths here. That's more than 4 thousandths. Number 4, we have a 1. So 1.6 is the highest. 1.423 is next. We have tenths, so we have 4, 8, and 4. So 8 is next. 0.4, 0.4, and 200ths. So we have this one has an extra 1,000 on it. So 421 is higher than 0.42. They're done. Number 5, let's see, we have 2.1. That's, and tenths, 6/10, 0/10, 6/10. So this is think of a 0. This is a 6.3. So decimal 6.3 is higher than decimal 6, 0 or 6. That's done. Now we have no tenths, no tenths. We have 700ths, so 0.07 is higher than 0.008. And again, you put a 0 on that one, you see that this one got a 70, this one has an 8. And the last one here is, we have any ones? Yep, we got a 1. 1 is the highest. Tenths, 0.0020. So 0.2 is next. Now all the rest of them got 0, 0, 0 for the tenths. So we look at the hundreds. We have a 4, and we have a 5, a 2, and a 4. So 0.05 is next. 0.04 is after that. So 0.048 is higher than 0.046. And one left is, I missed the reason for crossing these out, because Z.01, that should fit right in here, right there, in between 0.05 and 0.00. So if you look at it, that's in between right there. Crossing them out is a good way to make sure you get them all, but again, I missed that one when I was looking. So always check to make sure, cross them out. Let's look at rounding. Rounding to the nearest tenth, rounding to the nearest hundred. So let's round these three numbers to the nearest 10. To do that, the tens place is 7, that's 70. So if I round to the nearest 10, that means I'm going to make it 80. 480. Below that is 470. So tens place, 80 and 70. The 4s, the 400s. If you look at it, between right now, there's only 4 is the difference between 80 and 76. And down below, 76 and 70, there's a 6 difference. So you notice that 476 is closer to 480 than it is to 470. So if you were rounding 476, you would round it to 480. Let's look at 475. 475, again, 80 and 70 are the tens place. Notice that between 480 and 475 is a 5 difference. Between 75 and 70, there's a 5 difference. But because there's a 5 difference, we always round it up. We don't round it down, so we go to the 480. When there's a 5, you round it up because 5 is in the middle. So rather than go down, we round it up. 472, again, 480 is on above it. 470 is below it. We're rounding it to the tens place. Right now, 480 and 472, there's an 8 difference. 472 and 470, there's a 2 difference. Notice that 472 is closer to 470, so we have to round it down. Whatever is closer to. Whatever is closest to, that's what we round. And if it's a 5, we round it up. That's reviewing how we're rounding, but let's look at the rules that I use myself. If we're going to round to the nearest whatever it is, we select the place value. So we round. If the digits to the right of the place value is 5 or more, add 1 to the place value digit. So if you're rounding to the hundreds, you look at the hundreds place, you look at on the right, which is tenths, and see if it's 5 or more. And if it's more than 5, we add 1 to the hundreds place. If the digit to the right is less than 5, if the digit on the right is, we do not make any changes. And all the digits to the right of the place value change to 0. Let's go through some examples following these rules. Round each to the nearest place value. So 657 to the nearest 10. So if we look at the nearest 10, 5 is in the 10th place. So we look to the right, we have a 7. A 7 is greater than 5. So we add 1 to the 5. So it's 6, 6. And all the digits to the right become 0. In other words, 657 is closer to 660 than it is to 650. Tenths. We underline the 10th place. 7 is in the 10th place. So we look at the digit to the right. The digit to the right of the 7 is 4. 4 is less than 5, so we do not add 1 to the 7. So we get 826.7. We do not change the 7. And all the digits to the right become 0. But we know that 70, the 0 is not necessary. So if you wrote down 826.70, it's better to write down 826.7. C, round to the nearest hundreds. Ones, tenths, hundreds. 2 is in the hundreds place. So we look at the digit to the right, which is a 7. 7 is higher than 5, so we add 1 to the place value. So 3.4. 2 plus 1 is 3. Now we put all zeros on the right. And to simplify that, to make it better, that's the same as 3.43. The zeros are not necessary. D, round to the nearest ones place. So there, the 2 is in the ones place. So we look at the digit on the right, which is the 3. 3 is less than 5, so we do not change the digits above. So that's 4, 2. All the digits to the right of that become 0. And 42.00, that's the same as 42. E, thousandths. Thousandths place. Ones, tenths, hundreds. So this 8 is in the thousandths place. The digit to the right is a 4. 4 is less than 5, so we do not add 1. So 1.038. The 8 doesn't change because that's less than 5. The digits, all the digits to the right become 0. And we know that that 0 is not necessary. And we have F to the nearest tenth. Nearest tenth, 9 is in the 10th place. 7 is the digit on the right. 7 is higher than 5, so we add 1 to 9. So 1 to 9 makes it a 10. So there it is. We add 1 to 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Put down the 0, carry a 1. So we get a 10. So all the digits to the right become 0. So that's the same as a 1. Okay. Practice. You practice. Pause your video, work out these answers, and press play to see if you're right. To the nearest 1,000. 1 is, oops, all right. 2 is in the thousandth place. Ones, tens, hundred, thousands. So 2. 7 is on the right. 7 is greater than 5, so we add 1 to the 2. So that's a 3, that's a 1. And all the digits become 0. All the digits to the right of the place value become 0. So that's closer to 13,000 than it is to 12,000. Tenths. The 1 is in the 10th place. The digit to the right is greater than 5. So we add 1 to 1, we get a 2. 6 don't change. And the digit to the right becomes 0. So even though I put that in, I put it in, but I really don't have to. The only place you have to worry about to the right, all the digits to the right, is when you're up above 0. Up above 1. Because you had to fill in these digits. If you didn't fill those in for this number, you would have 13 instead of 13,000. Over here, when you're on the right of the decimal, the extra zeros makes no difference. We don't have to put them down. Round to the nearest 1. So 0's in the 1's place. 3 is less than 5, so we don't make a change. So that's 4-0. And I'll put the zeros in, but there's a waste of time. So hundreds, the 4 is in the hundreds place. This digit is 5 or more, so we have to add 1 to the 4. That makes that a 5, and that's a 1, and that's a 5, and that's a 2 decimal. We put zeros here, but the zeros are not necessary. Tens place, the tens place is the 0. 3 is to the right. 3 is less than 5, so we make no change. So it's 0, 9. All digits to the right become 0. So notice now, to fill these in, if I didn't put the 0 here, I would get 90. So now I have a 900. So it's important, above the decimal, to fill the zeros in, because you won't get the same value if you don't. Below that, you don't have to. Thousands, tenths, hundreds, thousands. 3 is in the thousands place. The digit to the right is less than 5, so we don't have to change it. No. So we get a 3 here, 0, 5, 2, decimal. And we put a 0 here if we want, but putting it there, not necessary. So 2.503. 100, 1, 10, here's the hundreds place. The digit to the right of that is less than 5, so we do not change the 8. All the digits to the right of that place value become 0. So notice, it's important to fill those zeros in. Tenths, the 5 is in the tenth place. We have to round it, so the digit to the right is greater than 5, so we add 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, so this is decimal 06. 2 zeros here, but not necessary, so decimal 6 is the answer. Hundreds, hundredths place is a 2. That's tenths, hundreds. This digit is 5. If it's 5 or greater, we add 1 to the place value. So 2 plus 1 is 3. We got a 0. We got a 4. We got a 0 and a 7. And we put a 0 here, but not necessary. Ones place. The ones place is the 1 right there. That's ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, tenths, and hundreds. The digit to the right is greater than 5, so we add 1 to 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. The 3 don't change, the 4 don't change, 1 and 8. And we get a decimal. We could put the zeros in, but not necessary. So 8,143 is the correct answer. That brings us to the end of the video on ordering and rounding. If you like my video, click on the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Write a comment if you wish, and also look up my website at mathfullyexplained.com, and you get information about my degrees and teaching experience, information on the teaching strategies you're going to use in my videos, and the content, most important, the topics I have online, the number of videos on each topic, and the topics that I have completed are in black font, and the topics to be completed is red font. I thank you very much for viewing my video. Bye-bye.